Hello, I'm David, and today we're going to be talking about the topic of gun control. Now, before we jump into anything, we must ask, what is gun control? In essence, gun control refers to the laws, or lack thereof, pertaining to people's firearms. This can be laws surrounding the age requirements to buy certain firearms, background checks, red flag laws, or getting rid of guns altogether. Oftentimes, people to the right of the political spectrum tend to want little to no government interference when it comes to their firearms, while people who are on the left of the political spectrum tend to want their government to implement stricter and tighter gun laws. Now, this isn't to say that every single person who aligns himself with the left of the political spectrum wants stricter gun laws, and this also isn't to say that everyone on the right of the political spectrum wants loose or no gun laws at all. Every individual person has their own beliefs that can be predicated on a number of things, including race, religion, personal experience, etc. I personally am all for stricter gun laws, as well as the ban of all military-grade assault weapons. I, for one, do not believe anyone 18 years or older, or younger for that matter, should be in possession of a semi-automatic or fully automatic weapon for any reason, really. Now, the format of this video will be, for the most part, me presenting a conservative argument against gun laws, and then me presenting a rebuttal to that argument. After that, I will offer some small solutions to our gun violence problem, if that's what you want to call it. Now, finally, with all of that being said, the first argument conservatives like to make against strict gun laws is that criminals will still have guns even if guns are illegal. This argument is very flawed. You can make this argument for anything, say abortion. Whether you make abortion legal or illegal, there will still be tens of thousands of back alley abortions, therefore rendering the criminalization of abortion pointless. I'm sure you can see the flaw in this argument. Laws are put into place for a reason. I think that if there are laws in place, then people will simply be inclined to follow them. The second argument that is often made against strict gun laws is, I need a gun to protect myself. To which I say, fine, fine, you can have your handgun, but do you really need an assault rifle? Do you need a military-grade weapon of any kind to protect yourself and your family? No, I really don't think anybody needs a weapon that's capable of unloading anywhere from 300 to 1,200 rounds per minute. To that, conservatives will argue that it isn't about the need, but the right to own a weapon, which leads to my third point, the Second Amendment. People often refer to the Second Amendment as the right to bear arms, but what the Second Amendment actually states is that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Keyword being militia. I think we can all agree that you and I and most of the people who will watch this video are not part of any militia. But because I did not write the Constitution, nor was I there while it was being written, I cannot say for certain whether, quote-unquote, the people refers to the previously mentioned militia or the everyday civilian of the United States, so I will leave that at that. But I do think it's worth mentioning. Another thing about the Second Amendment that I think people tend to forget or just overlook is that the Second Amendment, along with the entire Bill of Rights, was written and signed in 1787, which, if my math is correct, was roughly 235 years ago. 235 years ago, the highest military-grade weapon was a musket. During the late 1700s, a musketeer was expected to fire about 2 to 5 rounds per minute and be able to use a long stabby thing at the end of the musket called a bayonet. In today's day and age, we have fully automatic weapons capable of firing 3 to 1,200 rounds per minute, as I stated earlier. It's very important to keep in mind that while writing the Constitution, the wealthy old men who wrote it did so without the knowledge of the weapons of mass destruction we possess today. Now that we've talked about some of the more common conservative arguments against stricter gun control, I want to discuss some solutions that I think should be implemented to decrease gun violence in the United States. The first thing that I think should be done to combat gun violence in the U.S. is the implementation of more gun buyback programs. Gun buybacks are essentially when the police purchase privately owned firearms from people in communities on behalf of the government. This is done to physically remove the number of guns sold on the street and in communities. Not to worry though, as I stated earlier, these guns are being purchased, so there is compensation for people who are willing to give up their precious firearms. it should be much harder than it currently is to obtain a firearm. I believe that background checks should be required for the sale of all firearms. This includes the sale of guns at gun shows as well as online. This preventative measure ensures that no person who is unfit to own a firearm, based off questionable past behavior and criminal record, can so easily acquire one. There should be extensive safety training in order to receive your license to carry. It currently takes about 4 to 6 hours of classroom training, as well as a written and firearm competence exam in order to receive your license. To put things into perspective, to become a licensed barber, you're required to complete at least 1,200 hours of schooling before you can receive your license. Wait. Just wait. So you're telling me that a person has to go through 1,200 hours of schooling to cut my hair, but only 6 hours of training to legally carry a firearm? That is absolutely absurd, and something needs to be changed. Moving on. So the question you might be asking yourself is, what can I do? I mean, really, what can the everyday, law-abiding citizen like you and I do to prevent or decrease gun violence? I think all we can do is act. Go out and rally up some of your friends and family and protest. Lives over guns. Vote. Get your like-minded friends and family to vote as well. I find it very hard to believe that if every eligible voter actually went out and voted, that change wouldn't occur. How many like-minded individuals do you know that didn't vote this past midterm election? I'm sure you can count at least 3. Imagine if those 3 people also got their 3 people to vote. We'd have so many more voters, it's actually insane. You know who is going to go out and vote every single election? Your 6-year-old conservative next-door neighbor who's going to vote for Abbott or Trump or Kanye every time. Just go out and vote. Do your part. It really is that simple. Thank you for watching.